All right, we are live
Okay.
at last. Only 45 minutes late.
Yeah.
um, Not that anybody's watching it real
Yeah, no.
time. My live streams are interesting. Like I'll usually have maybe one or two people watch while I'm streaming, but then over the next like week or two it'll get like 200 views or something. So I guess the
Yeah.
replays are popular.
I don't know, man. I'm always surprised at what people watch and what they don't.
Yeah. That Will Spartaccio one is by far the most popular. It's gotten like 8,000 views. That little
Yeah?
book club thing I did of Wilson's
Cool.
sketchbooks. I was like, holy crap. Um, but yeah, I'll do a little host stuff here though for people that tune in with Chuck Gibson, artist, inker extraordinaire from Image Days, 90s Days, Wildstorm, DC, and I'm here trying to do my best copy of 90s Days with my art. So, and yeah, we're gonna do a little co-stream, chat about stuff, draw. Rob Norton might be showing up pretty soon. He might have got the time wrong. If that better be the excuse, otherwise he's dead to me.
I know, right?
Yeah, I'm so tired of his shit, man. Well, especially because I did this sketch of his Kill Snap character last night to draw on stream with him. So, and now he's not even here. So messed up, man.
Well, at least you can tear it in half on stream. Oh, well, it's digital. That's no good.
Yeah. Well, I could print it out and tear it in half.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like a symbolic gesture. Screw
Yeah.
you.
Yep. Don't test me, Rob. I'll do it. I'll print it out and tear up that copy in no time. Without hesitation. But yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Got the hang on, I'm gonna sneeze.
I think he said he was going to sneeze.
Whew. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, got that Brett Booth stuff going. That thing is awesome. That's what you were inking on the last stream too, right?
That's right.
Awesome. I was pissed. I renewed my membership to his Patreon, and for like 10 days, it wouldn't let me access any of the posts. They were like all blocked, like I hadn't subscribed, so I had to like email tech support and wait for. It took them like a week to respond. It's ridiculous. So
That's no good.
but now I got it back because he had posted a few really good ones. He did like that Wildcats. It was the team ones he did over the holidays. Like he did a Wildcats one that was really awesome. I forget there was another team shot he did too that was really cool.
You should hit me up. I save all those.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I got them now. They gave me access. But yeah, if they weren't going to do it, I was just going to cancel it and maybe write to you to get a couple of those. So, but yeah. Speaking of 90s comics though, like did you see I did that drawing of Impact, that big Cyberforce guy a couple days ago?
I saw that, just like a thumbnail of it on my recommended page,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
but I hadn't watched yet.
yeah. It's whoops. Come on. Come on. Let's see here. Yeah, I learned something though about Mark Silvestri though. Yeah, here he is. This is Kill Snap. But so Mark Silvestri really did not give a shit about this character in Cyberforce.
Yeah.
I have the sort of compendium or the omnibus of Cyberforce here.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was looking through him, and I mean, I don't really care about Impact either, but I just wanted to draw like his long, luscious hair and stuff, and all the chrome because I've been looking at Brutes and Babes and stuff like that, so I thought that'd be kind of fun. And dude, he never actually shows Impact's full in the first like at least 10-15 issues and the origin story. No one draws his costume in full, like a very clear shot of the whole costume, like especially the sort of front chest torso area.
Right.
You never see it. And Mark himself, when you try to like piece it together from different panels, it's never drawn the same once in the entire series. So
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. And none of it makes sense. Like he has these two like block things on his chest, one on each side, sort of above the nipples, or like these cube block things.
Right.
But then he has like his body is mostly spandex outfit, but somehow a little edge of that spandex comes forward and comes over that 3D block part, but there's no like shadow or like material pulling out from it. So like it really makes no sense.
Wow.
And then the same spandex without a cut goes over the shoulders, but it becomes like metal armor over the shoulder. It just none of it makes sense. Like materials don't work that way. I mean, I know it's comics too, but it's just like even transitioning between even unbelievable materials didn't make sense. So I was really
Right.
struggling to figure out a consistent
Right.
look to go with. So I ended up the best reference I got was like some fan made toy. So Count Chocula, what's up, dude? We got people
Hey,
from Rob's stream
Chocula.
here, Count Chocula, but Rob's not here. So see, another bullshit thing from Rob, man.
See, and I can't even wait. Okay. Let me get over here. Oh, there it is. There's the chat.
Oh yeah, you see it there. Cool.
All right.
Can you
Figuring
see
out
the
what I'm
chat
doing.
if I don't put it on screen? Like you can see it in the StreamYard thing, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
I just clicked over to that side so I can see the comments now.
Okay, cool.
So if y'all talk shit about me, I'm gonna know.
Yeah. Well, we have the private chat too that hopefully you won't notice, and that I can talk shit with Rob about you. So. Oh, your digital proof came back for your comic and it looked horrible. Oh, that sucks. What was bad about it? Like I forgot, what was it, full color or black and white? It kind of makes me paranoid too. Like that's kind of why I like sticking to black and white. I don't want to deal with color stuff at all.
Yeah.
Such a pain, like dealing with CMYK and
Pixelated and hazy.
yeah. Oh, so you screwed something up, maybe. So maybe something was messed up with the files you sent over, not necessarily the printer messing up. That's a bummer. Do they make you pay for each like test like proof? Like, do you have to pay for the whole run again to set it up? I assume probably. It's probably expensive as fuck. We'll have to pay another proof probably. Damn. Oh, so you didn't even see the physical copy. Even the digital copy looked hazy. Oh, that sucks. Because a lot of time I've seen digital prints and it's fine, but then the physical copy comes and it just looks like complete shit. Dude, so I'm all in on the Huion, Chuck. This thing's awesome.
Oh yeah, right on.
Yeah, I'm a couple weeks into using it now, so
Yeah, I've really been happy with mine. So
yeah, like I notice real subtle differences with the ink line, but it's so minimal that it's just something. It's more just getting used to it. You know, it's like almost like the feel of a different pen or something. It's not like
right,
it's
like switching from one mouse to another.
yeah, pretty much like that level at the most. So, and I don't know if have you seen those remotes that come with them? It actually has a little. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18 buttons and a little click wheel that has 3 modes, so you can use it for like brush size, screen size, or I mean zoom,
Yeah, see,
and something else.
you're working with the 4K though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's an upgrade from my machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have the little remote thing for it.
Yeah, I don't think it only comes with this one, and there's an even newer 27-inch one they have. You can buy them separate; they'll still work. But yeah, that actually comes with it. I actually wish I had. I was hoping it came with this one. The newer one, the 27-inch one, has a new pen that comes with it too, and it has 3 buttons on it instead of 2. Which, for me, that would actually change a lot for
Yeah.
convenience.
See, I suppose that would be great if I actually used the pen buttons.
Yeah, I
I
use
don't.
those like religiously. I can't not have it.
Well, like when I first started using Clip Studio Paint, basically I was trying to set it up as close to analog as I could get it to be.
Yeah,
So like I have pre-programmed keys on my keyboard that turn the art left and right and rotate it, and then so basically it's the same thing as it is now. I use my left hand to rotate the drawing and the right hand to ink.
yeah,
Okay, so I have it all set up on that as far as that goes. But really, as far as the layout and everything else, I try to keep it as same across the board as humanly possible, so that if I go to another computer at any point that has Clip Studio Paint on it, it's not that big of a shift for me.
yeah,
All the hotkeys are what I'm used to. I make a couple of changes and then just go like I normally go.
yeah. I see that. I without the remote, I can do that. Like I can use a keyboard and all that stuff for it. Because I do use it sometimes still. But it's hard. I love having. I just like the front button is is the pen or ink pen for me, and the back one is the grab thing, so I can move it around.
Oh yeah.
Because it just got tedious for me always having to like click. Well, partly because I usually move my keyboard actually. The way I have my Cintiq mounted is I have it on this ergo arm, so it sits sort of in front of my desk. So it's
Right.
almost like it's sitting in my lap. So I don't have room for the keyboard at front, and it kind of sits behind it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, but it's all preference, first world problems, really.
See, I'm dealing with like one of those fold in half convention style tables
Yeah,
with all my
on the
stuff
one you're
on it.
drawing on now, is that where you do it?
No, this is actually like a TV tray, like you'd like old people eat TV dinners on. You know.
Oh yeah, okay. Do you have any
So
TV dinners? I miss those.
no, I don't have any TV dinners because they make them like crap now.
Yeah, old Salisbury
They're,
steak.
they're really bad. Like you thought they were bad before, but they're
Yeah,
really
right.
bad.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you think about a lot of old foods and stuff. Like they say, back in the day, things were healthier and better and higher quality and stuff like that. It's like, well, no.
It
If
really
you think
depends
back,
upon what you're eating. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there was no safety regulations, so who knows what chemicals were getting in that food while you heat it up and like they're like, like cereals, for example. They're like cereals were better back in the day. It's like that's because they had like a pound of sugar in each box. It was like so bad for you. It's like rot
It's
your
still
teeth
not
out.
great. It's still not
Yeah,
great,
no.
honestly.
Um, but yeah, and then just a lot of the microwavable foods. Yeah, there's so many regulations and stuff, which are good. So we're not, radiating aluminum foil or something. I don't know. But
You should see this guacamole that I bought from the store, man. It comes in like a plastic pastry bag. Okay, so when you use the guacamole, it looks like a radioactive dog shit on your food.
oh wait, yeah, it's like the little plastic packets, right? And you sort of squeeze it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. It looks like
It,
it looks like a pastry bag, like a decorating bag, like you use for a cake or something, right?
yeah, I get those. They're pretty good though. It tastes good.
It's just guacamole inside, but it looks really weird on your food.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like puke or
Like that's
guacamole diarrhea.
not really appetizing, guys. I have to tell you.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I meal prep a lot, so I don't have to spend all my money eating out at work and stuff.
right.
And I'll tend to make like a whole thing of stuff in a crock pot and roll like 15 burritos with it, and put them in the freezer. I
Yeah.
made one this last week. It tastes amazing. It's like this cheesy chicken burrito thing. But dude, cooking in the crock pot, it just becomes it looks like shit and diarrhea. It looks so gross. It's just this nasty brown muck.
Yeah, chicken in the crock pot doesn't survive very well in terms
Yeah.
of texture and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean,
I
it
could
was
see that.
shredded, so it's more the color. You don't notice the texture too much, but then yeah, it had some had like some enchilada sauce in it, and then it had like taco seasonings, which make it even more brown. I mixed in some rice too, but the rice just picks up whatever other colors. So yeah,
Right?
but you roll it up in the burrito and you don't see it again,
Yeah, I'm
thankfully,
not
and it
looking at it.
tastes good. Yeah, exactly. It tastes great. So I just defrosted one last night, and it was still awesome. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Well,
Can't wait.
it's like I told my wife, if I could find a dog that would shit green and it tasted like that, I would probably be like at that dog's asshole. Honestly, you know.
Yeah, I've never spent a dime at work on food in the last decade. Count Shaka. Do you meal prep too? Yeah, I haven't spent any money at work in at least 6 months at work, except for maybe once when I um, forgot it at home. But yeah, meal prepping too. I got about over the holidays. I did a whole bunch of cooking, so I have like 30 meals um, in the freezer. You don't take food to work, Shakula? Yeah, I actually don't either anymore. As of about 3 months ago, I rarely will bring it to work because I don't eat at work. I kind of don't eat all day, and then I go to the gym, and then I come home and I eat a big meal, and then that's mostly it, and then some more food a little later. Cause I'm doing intermittent fasting. That's like the modern trend. He takes a coffee thermos. Yeah. Oh yeah, I drink a lot of coffee at work. It actually is an appetite suppressant too. Now I do intermittent fasting, and I've actually lost a lot of weight from it. But I also had to do it because I was getting like, well, I tried other things to try to lose weight, and they just weren't working. Or like trying to eat less. It's actually easier for me to just not eat. Like if I do like a 24-hour fast, it's easier than just trying to eat less than I would normally eat in a day. Because once I start, I just want to keep going. So as long as I
Right.
don't start, it's like when you open like a thing of ice cream, I can't just have a couple bites and set it aside like my wife does. Her ice cream will last months, but me, if it's opened, it's not lasting more than 2 days. It's so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. See, I'm kind of like that when I sit and get medicated.
Yeah,
You know, like I'm fine until I eat that first bite of something, and then it's got to go until I'm like ready to burst and pass out.
yep. But yeah, when I do struggle a little bit with the fasting at work, if I'm kind of hungry, I will drink some coffee. Coffee is a great appetite suppressant, I've learned. So yeah, it's been kind of nice because I was having some medical problems. I was like, fucking A, man, I don't want to start 20 new medications and just feel like shit all the time. So, but freaking I've lost 35 pounds in 3 months. It's pretty nuts. So,
Right on.
and it was a lot easier than any freaking diet I've done. So, hey, I'll be an advocate for the new trend. It's better than
If it's
Ozempic. Have you heard of
yeah.
Ozempic? That shit that makes you feel nauseous when you eat? Fuck that.
Oh, I haven't heard what it does. I just heard people are losing a lot of weight on it, but if you stop using it, it comes right back. So
Yeah, to me it's sort of like the gastric bypass. You aren't doing the mental work to sort of get over it. It just, and I don't want to learn to hate food like it does, because yeah, it's a shot you take, and then from what I understand is it makes you can eat little bits, but if you eat more than a little bit, it makes you feel nauseous, and you're just not hungry in general, anyways. So
wow. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll pass.
yeah. Yeah,
Especially
they
as
lose lean mass on that stuff. Shakti was saying, yeah, a lot of people become skinny fat, just like the gastric bypass stuff. I had a couple friends who did it, and they of course got fat again too, but they looked weird because they just lost all this like midsection weight, had no exercise, and just looked weird proportions, and then it slowly comes back. But yeah, I know people that spent $15 a day on work on junk, and then they complain how broke they are. Yeah, it's same here. I was doing the same thing, especially my job. My job is 49 miles away, so it's about an hour to hour and a half drive each way. And so we worked remote for like 3.5 years, but now they made us come back in the office. And my gas bill is like $250 a month. So on top of that, buying lunch every day, no freaking way I can do it. So, but it works out because then I don't eat as shitty either. So This is Health Talk with Chuck and Jason. Cooking show next week.
Notice Jason's doing all the talking.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Chuck's like, I'm still gonna die of something anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, hey, I see Rob in there. I saw Rob. Hopefully he hasn't been here too long. I wasn't looking. Let me see. I'm going to add him to the stage here. Rob.
Fellas.
Hey, what's up, dude? I hope you haven't been here too long. I wasn't looking up at the screen.
Like half an hour. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Like 30 seconds.
At 3 still?
Let's see.
Let's see. I'm going to see. Let's see if I can get you guys both up on here.
I've gotten so spoiled working digitally.
Oh, here we go. Can you guys hear me now? I was talking in it.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I moved myself and it muted me. I hate how it automatically does that.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. It's all working now.
I've gotten so spoiled working digitally, man.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find a way I can get all 3 of us on there, which would be cool. 3 of us on there, but it keeps defaulting to my camera, so I'm going to change it up here real quick. Oh, but Rob, yeah, I got your kill snap here.
Yeah, I kind of was catching that there.
Yeah. So I got just this claws, but yeah, working on that. I gotta make his head maybe even a little smaller because his shoulders don't look big enough. Because your version of him has gigantic shoulders, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was not exactly intentional. I was just trying to let's exaggerate it, and then it went way too far, and I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
That's what I like. That's partly what I like about him, though. So I want to keep that going. All right, let's see here.
So guess who I found out uses the same pen as me?
Inking pen? Who?
Yeah, uses the same one as this one right here. Walt Simonson.
Oh, hells yeah.
Oh, really?
Did you do a demo that you saw it or something, or how'd you find out?
No, I follow his Instagram, and he usually lists his equipment that he's used on his shot there in the description.
Oh, yeah.
And he is always using the Tombow Fujinosaki hard tip, which is what this is.
So is that the all black one, or is it the sort of dark brown one?
There's one that's this is the one that's weird. There's a hard tip and a soft tip. Now the soft I was just using the soft tip. It looks like the hard tip is like a real deep blue.
Oh, it's the dark blue. Yeah, I know that one.
That's the deep blue, and then this one is more like a matte black or
I think this is the deep blue one. I found one in my art drawer. I don't know if you can see that. That's it. Yeah. Cool. I was cleaning stuff out yesterday, and I found some old of those types of pens that were unopened. I was like, "Hell's yeah!" I also found these. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but these little anatomy references.
Oh, right on.
They're cool because let me hold it up
Cool.
closer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like if you look at the details here, so like if you look at this side, and they have different heads you can put them on too, but this looks like, it'll focus. It looks like regular, just soft anatomy under skin. But if you look at the other side, it has it done all blocky with like the hard edges.
Oh,
so
cool.
You can kind of see how the 3D on it looks better.
So you
Same
can
with
see the
head.
planes.
Yeah, yeah. And same with the girl, like especially like you can really, oops, you can kind of see it on her butt there. Like one's blocky and the other one's smooth. This is, look everyone, look at this butt.
She's got a blocky butt, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get canceled. Ass. Yeah, but you know this is okay though because you're not allowed to show nipples, and she doesn't have any.
She doesn't have any nipples.
Oh, they flatten.
I
them
would
out.
draw them on.
Yeah.
Don't shame her for not having nipples. She's disabled.
These were like an old Kickstarter from years ago too, and they came with all these extra heads, and they have like the guy one has like a couple different nationalities of people too, and then like they have one that's sort of like bones too that you can do. So it's kind of neat.
Extra
Yes.
heads, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there such a thing? Can you have extra? Like,
Yeah, it's at the first page of my comic in the background with the orgy going on.
There's no such thing as too much.
Yeah.
only after I've chafed, maybe.
Oh God, chafing. That's horrible in that area. All right. Still trying to get this.
I'm sorry, this isn't a family show, is it?
It's not anymore.
Slot. Slot.
What you inking there, Mr. Chuck?
Oh, it's the same juggernaut that I was working on last time we did this.
Oh, yeah.
I would be working on our stuff, but it doesn't let you do the digital screen with this, I remember, and do an enlargement, so nobody be able to see it anyway.
Oh, on your phone, or did you?
No, when I used my Clip Studio Paint screen and not my camera, it wouldn't enlarge. You wouldn't let you go full screen with it. You couldn't see it anyway.
Oh dang. Yeah, forgot that freaking StreamYard. It's cool, but also limited sometimes in some ways. So, I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to find a layout that will show all our stuff together too. It's tough to get it to fit. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. All three of us on there.
There we go.
And me in the corner. Right. Also, I forgot to mention, Count Chocula says he lives 5 minutes away from work. You suck. God, to live 5 minutes away from work, man.
I used to live like 50 feet from work.
You mean the office in the back of the office?
Yeah, like 50 feet from my bed,
Yeah. I'm working on that now, man. I miss working from home. I'm trying to get back to that. I mean, it's tough because I have a comfy job, but the commute sucks. So I want to get back to working from home. My office.
Once you get spoiled to staying home and making money, you don't ever want to go back to going to work.
Yeah.
Like, fuck all that.
Yep. It's tough right now, though, because everything in the entertainment industry is just a shitstorm right now. With all the strikes, all the economy, just so much crap. Outsourcing here, AI stuff. It's just, God, I know so many people that have been out of work for over a year that are like senior level people that you would think would never have to look for work. So
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid to make the jump to freelance now. I mean, I'm at Blizzard and it's cool. If I could work remote and not have that commute, I would totally just stick it out. But long term, and I'm fine there now. My crew is really cool, but it's gonna be tough to do long term. Plus, my wife freaking works in San Francisco, so if I could live closer to her, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm saying stuff, but 10 years from now, I'll probably still be at Blizzards, which is fine. It's not a bad job. It's just the commute is killing me.
Did you say it's an hour each way?
A little over an hour. Yeah, like sometimes an hour and a half.
Barf.
Yeah, depending on which route I take, it's either 49 miles or 52 miles each way. So, but the funny thing is if I take the longer route, it takes me less time. So it's fucked up. And I can only leave during a certain window. I can't go into work before 10, and I can't come home before 7. Otherwise, it's like 2 to 3 hour commute. So
Because
it's
of
bullshit.
traffic.
Yep, traffic is so bad.
Oh, wow.
We had all the fires here last week, and I actually worked from home a couple days because of it. Because if we had any evacuation orders around the house or anything, there's no way I could have gotten home to do it. It would take me hours to get home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
good
talked to them
point.
at work. Yeah, a lot of people at work that live in this area did the same thing. We just worked at home in case I had a stack of stuff like my important documents in a hanging file folder and some clothes and my little network drive that has all my art on it, all ready to grab in 5 minutes and run. But thankfully we didn't have to. Do you guys know the comic artist Andrew Robinson?
No.
I only heard about him, I think, through the.
Oh yeah, I
he
was
lost
talking on your.
everything.
Yeah, his house burned. He lives nearby here. He did a comic called Human Target. Chuck, it was one of his recent things. I think.
Oh, yeah?
And it's cool. He's got a cool style, like kind of a unique style. I like it. Did he do Human Target? Let me make sure I'm not thinking wrong. But I tend to make statements and then I'm completely wrong. Like there was a live stream I was talking about the guy that you and I were. I thought it was Todd Knock. Was I wrong about? Was that the one I said that I was wrong about? I forgot.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
Greg Smallwood did Human Target. Sorry, I was wrong. But what was the latest thing that Andrew Robinson? Like, if I were 19, I would be able to list his entire checklist right now. But at the age I'm in now, I'm not. I can't remember it past a week. Let's see. The one he's doing now is called Last Stand. I haven't read it yet, but it looks really cool. Or
Cool.
was it Last Stand? Or I'm trying to think. Something stand. God, I'm so bad right now. This is like.
Thanks for plugging my book on your show, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Stand still. Yeah. See, I wasn't prepared. That's why I have to prepare.
Such a gushing review, man. What an endorsement.
Well, I'm so distracted by the amazing art. That's why I can't.
There you go. Nice save.
Yeah. Stand Still is it though? It's really cool. The art's amazing. I've actually bought it. I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. But that's his most recent thing. So he did a issue of a comic called Scumbag.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good too. Scumbag had a different artist each issue, which was interesting. Rick Remender wrote it. So trying to see what his other title was. He did his favorite beer is the same as mine. I'm looking at his Instagram. Yay! I feel like we're connected now.
Like Walt Simonson using the same pen.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a Belgian ale called Delirium, and it looks like it's from India. It's this white bottle with these Indian symbols on it and a little elephant on it. I love it.
Yeah, I remember years ago I met Mike Grill at a convention in the Seattle area,
Yeah.
and I was using a Kuretaka fountain brush back then. I was working for CrossGen, doing stuff with them,
Oh God, yeah, cross.
and yeah, he was like looking at this brush, and I was like, yeah, it's got you don't have to dip it. It's got a cartridge and everything else. Like, you mind if I try it out? I'm like, Absolutely, go ahead, take it for a little test drive, you know.
Holy crap.
But I'd always hoped after that, every time I used it, I was like, maybe there's still some of Mike Grill on the brush.
Yeah.
Maybe there's still some left.
Like you
Yeah, like
enchanted
someone
it or something.
famous touches your shirt and you never wash it again. That type
Yep,
of thing.
there you go, like that. Like, dude, Mike Grill touched my
Yeah.
brush. It's got magic.
Yeah. Mike Grell kissed your cheek and you can never wash your face again. So that's pretty cool. How was Mike Grell as a person? Was he nice?
Oh, I didn't talk to him for very long, you know, and I was at the convention as a fellow guest. So
Okay.
he's kind of sitting over there by, across the way a little bit doing his thing, and I'm sitting across the way and doing mine. But I went and visited with him for a little bit, and we chit chatted. Nice guy.
Yeah, that's cool. Is he still with us?
He is
Okay,
still with us,
good.
but he is.
I haven't seen him do anything in a long time.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get old.
Yep.
I would imagine. I don't know how old Mike Grell is, but he was in adult drawing comics when I was a kid.
Yeah. Oh man.
So you got to figure he's got to be. I'm guessing he's got to be 70 if he's a day. You know.
Yeah. One thing I always wonder, especially just because comics, especially old school guys like him, comics wasn't nice to artists as far as setting you up for a future and retirement,
They still aren't.
Yeah, but they're, when guys like him retire, like I sometimes wonder because I worry for myself too. I'm like, how am I going to retire? Like, how are they retiring and not like homeless, because
Well, look,
pictures can help you out.
in the case of artists, it's not as difficult as it is for other professions in the comic industry, because as an artist, if you build up a fan base, you can always, like somebody like Jim Lee or Scott Williams could quit tomorrow and live off commissions for the rest of their life, probably make better money. I don't know.
Oh yeah, a lot of them do that. They just do covers and commissions now. But,
So.
But like someone like Mike Grell, if hasn't done anything, how is he set up for life? Like,
Hey, just because you haven't done anything in the last 10 years doesn't mean people don't still remember you.
Yeah, maybe he just does pieces for private collectors here and there, and that kind of keeps him going.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just want to know because I want to know the secret for when I get to that point because I don't want to be screwed.
Well, that's the thing. If anybody's got the hookup, they're not telling me about it either.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me the hookup, man. I need to know.
Like the time I met Neil Adams and didn't let him speak.
Really? What?
Yeah,
Explain that one.
when you remember years ago, I came out and visited you in San Francisco, and we went to WonderCon, right?
Yeah.
Well, Neil Adams, like at some point, you and I separated. We were gonna maybe it's a different con than I'm thinking of.
I don't think it was WonderCon because I've never been, but yeah, we did do something. But God, I don't remember
okay.
what con it was.
This must have been way earlier than I'm thinking. But
Yeah.
oh yeah, it was, because I was still in the Wildstorm days when I did this. Because I told Scott Williams, basically, I had heard through the grapevine that, especially to young artists, that Neil was abrasive. Neil was mean.
Oh, yeah.
Neil was going to treat you like shit. And point out all the things that you did wrong, and basically the word on the streets, Neil's an asshole, and I'm like, I was a real big fan of his stuff, and I'm like, okay, if I go up to him and he's a dick, it's gonna color the way I think about his stuff every fucking time I look at it from then on out.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I went up and I introduced myself, and I told him that I worked for Wildstorm, working for Jim Lee, and that basically I just want to come up and thank you for all the years and years of enjoyment that I've gotten from your work and the inspiration that I've gotten in my own art. And with that, I'd just like to wish you a nice time at the con and shake your hand. And at that point, I stuck out my hand, and he shook it, and I said, "And I'll be on my way." I never gave him the chance to say a word.
Yeah. You know what? He probably appreciated that too, though, because I know he would, you know, a lot of the portfolios always look the same, and he's given the same advice, which is partly why he's abrasive and gets annoyed. He's probably like,
Yeah.
oh, thank God I don't have to do that bullshit again. He's just a good guy who complimented the work, you know? It's so
Yeah.
nice
Here's
and
somebody,
easy.
you know, and that's what I wanted to do. Like you've made an impact on my life, and I wanted to come tell you that I appreciate it. And now that I've done that, I don't need to stick around to be abused or for you to get unpleasant or think about it, you know.
Yep. See, I wasn't that smart because you know my famous story.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh my God.
I was at Comic-Con with him, Rob, and me and my friend Zach, and we both saw him over at his booth, and no one was there. We're like, holy shit, we got to go talk to him. We knew he was like that too, but we were like, it doesn't matter. Like he knows his shit.
Yeah,
so
right.
And I'll give this caveat before I explain it too. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with his attitude wholeheartedly, but regardless, it was still the best advice and most honest advice I've ever gotten at a con ever from anybody. So he might be abrasive, but he doesn't fuck around too. So it was the best advice I got that whole con. But yeah, when we walked up, I showed him my pages. I think I had 7 pages of samples, and he looked through the first 3 and then just sighed really big and just threw them down. He's like, basically what you're doing here is you're beating off. I mean, eventually you want to meet a real woman, but right now you're just beating off. And then he just basically went in and just tore it to pieces. These faces are flat. There's no 3 dimensions to any of your faces here. These poses are still, and your storytelling's terrible, which was all right. And it was stuff that, 10 other editors hadn't told me. They just give you the sort of canned general advice that they've been given for the last 5 hours that they've been looking at portfolios. And so it was kind of refreshing to hear that, even though it made me want to cry.
Wow.
Well,
no, I was actually inspired, though. I was like, oh, man, he's a dick. But God, that was such good advice. He's so right. I'm going to work on that stuff. We were both kind of fired up afterwards. So.
Well, I look at it differently now than I used to back then. Now I think of it as man, I should have shown him some stuff and had him beat me up like a badge of honor,
Yeah. Yeah.
I had Neil Adams tell me I'm a piece of shit.
Trust me, if you get a chance, dude, from what I understand, Howard Chaykin is still around to do that for you if you need it.
Oh, is he like that too? I didn't know.
I've never dared, but you don't want to take stuff up to Howard Chaykin, I heard. I don't know. That maybe I've also heard too that he's chilled out in his old age a little bit. He's not quite so bad, but yeah, I mean, dude, you get a good review out of Howard Chaykin, that's really something,
Wow. Yeah, it always made me wonder with Neil too. I assume he probably wasn't like this with pros he'd hire, but I used to always wonder if he was kind of a tyrant to work with at Continuity Studios. But considering the level of artists that work there, I would imagine not, because people that were there didn't have to work there. They probably enjoyed collaborating with them.
Well, look, and like I said, I see it differently now. In a way, I kind of approve of the way Neil was doing that sort of thing, because if you're a new artist and you're still looking, if you don't have a thick enough skin to hear that and keep going, you're never going to make it anyway.
Totally.
So rather than stroke you and waste your time and his, he's going to tell you so that, don't spend another 10 years on this and waste your fucking time. Go do something where you can make some money and, eventually you're going to want a partner and a house and stuff,
Yeah.
So
that's true, especially nowadays. People need to be even tougher because of social media and stuff. And if people don't like you, it can be worldwide fucking public mob just tearing you to pieces,
Yeah.
Hey, quick question, Rob.
Yo.
Does Kill Snap Do his ears stick? Are his ears outside of the mask, or is it like Wolverine, where they're just kind of under the mask and you just sort of see an imprint of them?
I've drawn them where they're covered. I like my costumes to make sense, but that being said, that mask kind of doesn't make sense because I've got it like the Wolverine thing up front minus the ear flaps. But then I have the black parts that cover his eyes. They come around to the back and then they tie together like it's a mask. He ties around the back of his head, and then there's like trailing little like Ninja Turtle mask things. That
I noticed that.
But it doesn't make any sense how it's like the black part with the front with his nose and how it covers his ears and under his it doesn't make sense. But I was like, oh fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, who really cares with this stuff? I mean, especially considering what it's sort of parodying.
Yeah. I'm like, it looks okay from the front and it looks okay from the back, but if you were trying to like logically figure out how it functions.
Yeah. Well, I noticed like I have a couple screen grabs here, and one he sort of has it. Well, it's actually just blacked over, so it might have just been in shadow. But then there's another one where he's like, it's the shot with the girl with the bow and arrow behind him, and it looks like his ears are there, but it's the penciled one. I don't know if they eventually got covered over or if his bare ears are sticking out, which I kind of like that.
Yeah, it could honestly be either way. If you got a way that you want to do it that, you know, yeah, I'll give you my permission.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, however you think I mean, you might actually draw a version of it. I'd be like, oh, actually that's what it needs to look like. All right, now I'm gonna change.
Like me with the glove.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened with the glove?
Oh, the glove. Rob used to draw that glove in Masters, and he wasn't drawing it that way until I got a hold of it and added all the metal sheens and stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And like until oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. Now I get it. All right. Well,
I just, you know, like I said, I used to do wet work, so metal is like right there in my wheelhouse. So
100%. Yeah.
That must have gotten shiny, exhausting. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, metal. You know, if you make it look right, it makes it look so good. And I didn't know how to kind of make it work, and then I saw what Chuck did, and I was like, oh, okay, well,
yeah,
that's it.
Was that wetwork stuff exhausting, Chuck, after a while? Because, I mean, like I said, I did that Impact the other day, and he's all chrome. And by the time I was done with that, I was like, okay, I'm good on shiny chrome for a while, just from one image.
Well, you know, I was a big fan of Bob Layton and Iron Man.
Yeah.
So, and also a big fan of Scott Williams and what he was able to do with Will Silver with the metal type techniques. So I've always liked doing that kind of stuff. Shiny, reflective sort of surfaces. I just enjoy doing that kind of work.
Will Excel said Chuck is great at line weights, just so you know. Don't let your head get too big.
Great at line weights. Yeah, I pay attention to it quite a bit. I mean, you know, I at least to some degree. The key to line weights is just figuring out where the light source is, and then every line that's away from the light source furthest is heavy as fuck. So if the light's coming from this side, hitting his arm, if it's coming from this way, then all the lines on this side are going to be kind of beefy, okay? And assuming that the light's coming from above most of the time, you can just hit the undersides of every form really hard, and it'll pop out.
Yeah, even from this distance, you can see it on that. Got the back of his arm on that.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
Well, that's the idea. Is like I want to make it to where you can shrink this sucker down to the size of a postage stamp, and it still reads.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to lose some line detail and stuff because it's going to fall out and it's going to close up and things like this. But it should still read as an arm, even really, really small.
Yeah. Especially the smaller it gets with all that detail, you almost need that bold line to sort of show the silhouette better with all that rendering detail in the middle, you know?
Well, I try to make it idiot-proof for color. Like if you can get it to work in black and white, then there's really not much that a colorist can do to come in and fuck it up.
Yeah.
You know? So I try to make sure it's rock solid in black and white.
Hey Chuck,
Yeah.
I got a question. When you were at Wildstorm, did you ever meet that colorist? I'm just curious how you say his name if you ever met him. That Joe Chiodo or that?
Oh yeah. I always said Chiodo, but in my head, I don't know if that's correct.
I don't know whether he prefers Chiodo, but that is along the lines of the way you say that. I didn't talk to Joe too much.
Yeah.
It's almost like Wildstorm was sort of split up into like a high school would be split up into classes almost. There were the first guys that showed up, the first wave of hires that got hired off that with J. Scott Campbell off that Wildcats #2 ad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And then I came in like a year later. And then there were other people that came in after me. So each class, so to speak, of new guys that would come in would wind up hanging with each other. And then the previous class, you know, you were usually too busy to hang out. You didn't really know these guys. You had your own office off and away, or you weren't working in the office anymore at all, in my case. So I didn't get to really know some of these guys. And Joe was there from the very beginning. So like, I really didn't get to know Joe very well, or Wills or Nick Manabat, because they were all kind of sequestered off into their own little section and kind of came and went out of their own little office, and we didn't really, you know, there wasn't much opportunity to talk to them.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know.
Were you there before or after Rich Friend?
Rich, I was there while Rich was there.
Okay. Did he come in the same wave as you, or was he already there?
Rich started out as Alex's assistant, Alex Garner's assistant. So by the time I got there, he probably started around the same time as me, but Alex used to work at home mostly, and I think he used to come pick the work up from Alex or work at Alex's house. I'm not sure how that worked. Yeah. But yeah, he didn't really come into the studio until I'd already been there for, I don't know, like a year or something like that before I actually met Rich. You know, before then it was just like, oh, Alex has a background guy, you know.
Yeah, I know. I've heard Rich, you know, talk too about how when his wave came in, they were, you know, the wave before him, they were all kind of sort of like superstars and like kind of had a lot of breaks as far as like timing and schedules and, you know, books getting behind all the time. So when Rich came in, they were super uptight about that and didn't let him fuck around. And they're like, you need to meet your deadlines and do what we tell you or you're out. Is that kind of what they were like with you too when you went in?
Well, you know, being an inker, yeah, I got a lot of pressure. I wasn't, you know, you got to remember, man, of the people that came in my wave, I got the rep there for a little while of being the worst inker there. And that kind of stuck, you know. I was like bullied in middle school, and I don't take to that kind of thing very well. So I stopped working at the studio and really went home and focused in on my stuff. And it got better, and I stopped hearing people complain about it and stuff. But I never really felt that embrace that some people will tell you about there.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I didn't do real well in middle school, high school, and this was sort of like that all over again to me, the way I saw it at the time.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it didn't really matter anyway. Like you can go in and mix it up with all these personalities and everything else, okay? But whether they think you're the greatest guy in the world or whether they think you're an asshole, if you're not meeting your deadlines and the work's not good, you're going to get fired anyway. So just focus on that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, let these people not like you if they don't want to. I don't care anymore, you know? As long as they like the work,
yeah,
that's good enough.
Will Excel, he asked, I've always wondered, could an inker add rendering to a penciler's work, or is that frowned upon?
Adding is Usually welcomed by most pencilers, because they're usually on such a tight schedule that they, like, it's not done. It's just been abandoned. It's just been
Yeah.
abandoned because it's due and I have to have it in most of the time. So, most of the time they don't mind. It depends upon how you do it and where you do it. Like this piece, for example, if I come in and add a bunch of texture over here and it's pulling your eye away from the main subject, well, then that's no good. So it depends on how you're adding detail and where you're doing it.
Yeah, and I guess as long as you sort of meet what they have there and then add to it, they would probably be happy, instead of like if you came in like a bad Kevin Nolan and just basically wiped out their pencils with your own style of rendering or something.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be the bad Kevin Nolan. That's why
Yeah.
that's why it works for Kevin Nolan,
Yeah. That's what I say. Like if someone's not as experienced, like one of the newer guys comes in and just wipes them out, it's not gonna benefit it. It'll just make it look like crap. Then the penciler might be pissed.
Yeah.
I would say absolutely will.
Well, that's a case by case basis too. I mean, if somebody comes in, they've got a really strong style, they might be able to come in and tighten up those weak spots you have. Like they used to save like Wally Wood, especially for the guys that were young and inexperienced, because Wally Wood could come in and ink it, and you couldn't tell they were young and inexperienced. It still looked great. It looked like Wally Wood.
Who was the guy that we were inking when I was assisting you? It was on Cybernary, I believe. He was a really young, newer guy, and I remember you had to like fix a lot of anatomy stuff like that when we were working on those pages, and it was kind of frustrating. That's what I thought was Todd Knock, but I was wrong. Who was it? Maybe I shouldn't call out names either, but I remember that was happening. Maybe that's not good to call out a specific name. But yeah, we were inking some stuff, and I remember you doing that a lot because he was a newer guy and he was probably on deadline too, and just making some mistakes here and there, and you would have to kind of
and he and I may have disagreed on stuff like that too. He got to the point where he was even inking faces before I would get them, because he was really choosy about what he got. And that,
I forgot that. Yeah, I forgot.
I understand that now, being a penciler myself. You go through this so many times and trying to nail down a look, trying to nail down a face, trying to get it exactly the way you want, and not looking cross-eyed, and you got the eyes on the same level. They're not one eye up higher than the other and stuff. You put so much time in it, like, by God, I want to see it translated just like that. I get it now.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was like, dude, nobody is looking at this that closely. And I still have that sort of an attitude. Like, I look at stuff all the time and I go, I could have done this better, or I could have done that better, or whatever. I'm like, nobody's looking anyway. No, like three people in the world give a shit, and I'm one of them, and that's the problem,
Well, and I'm insecure too. I would probably take it personally, like, oh, what? So you don't think my inking's good enough? You have to do it for me, and you're not even an inker, which.
Well, that is how I took it at the time. That is how I took it at the time. I'm like, you son of a bitch, why don't you just ink the whole fucking thing yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
But I get it now.
Yeah, totally. Well, experience, What's up, someone saying? Will also asked, how loose would the pencils have to be for an inker to be considered finishing?
Well,
I guess, is it a level, or is it more just a discussion beforehand, because you got to figure out who's getting paid what?
Yeah, well, look, it's definitely a discussion beforehand, and it is figuring it out. Like, to me, what I always think of when I think of breakdowns, I think of Jim's breakdowns. I think of Jim's breakdowns, which to me is like it kind of looks like a Jim Lee coloring book. It's still drawn by Jim Lee, and it's got all the structure there, and all the anatomy's correct and indicated and everything, but it doesn't have all the cross hatching and all the rendering lines going on and everything. It looks like, and the blacks aren't laid down. It's a coloring book.
Yeah, but yeah, no matter how much rendering you did over it, you could still see Jim Lee in there. He's got enough of his solid
hopefully.
base in there. Yeah. Well, because there are people that would do that. Like, I've seen people in the past, especially back then, when you'd have like 50 inkers on a book too. Like, sometimes someone would do layouts and it ended up being like their excuse to just be a little lazy to meet their deadline, and then it's almost like the inker's doing all the work. Like they're just using an excuse to be a little bit lazy.
Well, and some inkers were really into that, though.
Yeah,
some
that's true.
like, hey, if I can just take the bull by the horns and go off my own direction with it, so much the better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Somebody like Tom Palmer, you give it to Tom Palmer, and most guys are going to wind up looking. Well, he did it on Star Wars. You go look at the Star Wars issues that he did, and it didn't matter if it was Walter Simonson or Ron Friends or Luke McDonald or any, a lot of the other pencilers that they did that were kind of, they weren't super duper distinct in their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Palmer would just come in there and run over it. It was all Palmer when it was all over with.
Yeah.
And in the cases, some of those guys were just starting out, and like thank God he did it.
Yeah, he comes in there to
really
save
them. Yeah.
Yeah, Wilson, rendering isn't my strong suit, so I'd love to have an inker who could do that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean maybe that's kind of why you were put on some of those newer guys too. Like these guys come in without experience and they aren't really good, so they need a decent inker to sort of punch it up so it looks, till they get more experience and get better. So
see, now that's really nice. I wish I could think about it that way. That's not the way they would put it out to me at all. It'd be like, you're on the scrub because you suck and we hate you. I'm like, well, thanks for taking it easy on me.
Well, do you think it was always truly that, or do you think some of it might have been, like we were saying, the insecurity where you think it's that even though it might not be so much? I don't know.
Dude, at this point, I would do that whole experience so much differently if it was thrown at me now. And I'm like, man, there was so much of that I thought for a long time that I was like blacklisted and that people didn't want me there and that other people were favored. And I find out later, no, all that shit was in your head. Everybody that you knew at Wildstorm, after Wildstorm closed up, everybody that you knew at Wildstorm had it give or take as tough as you did.
Yeah.
Richard Friend has talked about it on his live streams before. How when Wildstorm was closing down and it was DC taking over and stuff, and it was a scary time, and he was having it rough, and I'm like, well, okay. I figured you were getting to ink high profile enough. I figured you had some juice,
Yeah.
I figured you had more juice than I did.
I mean, it's
Wasn't
definitely
he
tougher
one of the
back.
guys that was kept on?
No.
Wasn't Richard Friend one of the guys, or was he
Richard Friend was.
One?
Richard Friend was, I think.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry.
Richard Friend was, he was kept around and given work at DC.
Right. That's what I thought I heard him say once.
Yeah.
Most of those guys were. I had such. Jason will tell you, I was hard to get along with back then. I'm not super easy to get along with. I'm not super easy to get along with now, but back then I was like, if you think I'm angry now, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, as personally, you weren't hard to get along with, but definitely like there were a couple phone calls I was around that you had calling into the studio that felt a little awkward to hear. Kind of more in later days though, when you were pretty frustrated with a lot of stuff, and they were kind of pulling a lot of bullshit too. So it wasn't.
Dude, if I thought they were jerking me off, I had no hesitation to come call bullshit on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that time too, people were making it big really fast. Everyone was still young, so it is almost like a Lord of the Flies, with how everyone acted and treated each other,
Well, and again, that's my perception of it. And the older that I get, the more I figure out, like, oh, geez, nobody meant it that way. That was the only person that thought of it that way was you.
Nice going.
Yeah. Well, isn't that why they say youth wasted on the young? You know, you
Yeah.
figure all these things out later, and you go, "Oh, why was I such a dick?"
Yeah.
I'm like, that probably really hurt me. Yeah, probably. So yeah, when they get time travel figured out, I'm leaving. Bye. I'm going
Sweet.
back. I'm gonna go back and do that. And
Well, time travel just brings you back at the age you're at now, though. You need actually like age reversal too, right? Because you don't want to go. Do you want to go back at the age you are now, or do you want to go back to when you were like 21 and doing it?
it
But the same
depends.
knowledge,
Well,
same knowledge as you have now. But
Oh well, if I want to go back with the same knowledge that if that option's on the table to go back with youth and wisdom,
yeah.
I'll take that, please.
Yeah.
Right.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah, it's funny to think like if I go back to high school or even just other things like that. There's some stuff I would want the knowledge I have now. Then there's other things that would make being a kid torture too.
Oh yeah,
It'd be like you feel like you're stuck in this child body, but you're thinking like an adult, and you're limited in certain ways. Will Excel said, "Do you charge the same for digital ink that you would for traditional?" I mean, I would assume yeah, because you're still doing the same amount of work, right?
Yeah, I usually do. As a matter of fact, it depends. Like if you, yeah, I charge the same amount as far as actually doing the work goes. Like if you want to commission me for published work, then yeah, I would charge you the same amount because you're not getting the actual piece. You're not getting the actual artwork. If you're getting the actual original artwork, you're going to pay more.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's where it affects it is the resell afterwards.
Right. But as far as like performing the work, like, you know, when I inked that cover for Shocula, I charged him, give or take, the same amount that I would for actual ink.
Was that the one that Rob drew for Shocula that you inked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's give or take the same amount that I would charge for, because I don't, honestly, at this point, my analog inking, I see problems with it that I don't get digitally, but then I see things digitally too that I do where I'm like, oh, that I wouldn't do that if it was analog. Lots of stray little wispy lines that I don't notice. And
Oh yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about there. Yeah, the little stray edges of lines and stuff like that.
right, stuff like that bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah, me too. You'll zoom in, like you'll be working on an area for a while and think it looks great, and then you're like, "All right, I'm just gonna put a couple last details in," and you zoom way in, and you're like, "Oh my god, this looks like shit. It looks so messy and like it doesn't even look like cool loose. It just looks like lazy and messy, you know?"
Yeah.
Yeah. That happened a lot on my Chrome with Impact too. Those little tiny wispy lines for the edge of the Chrome, and then I'd zoom. I'm like, man, that looks nice and smooth. Then you zoom in, it's like, holy fuck, that looks terrible.
Yeah, it looks like shit. It's a good thing they shrink this stuff down, you know.
I'm like, man, I'm really warmed up. I'm throwing these lines so clean, and then I'm like, wait, no, not even close.
Well, once you figure out that analog stuff looks like that too, if you go in real super close to it,
yeah.
You know, I'm sort of over it. There's some of this stuff, like I've seen the way some of this stuff prints now, both with Master's End and then looking at Shocula's deal. I did a printout of it to look at. Some of these little things that you think of are going to be like the life and death of your piece. Dude, by the time you zoom out, it's nothing. It's just a little smudge, you know?
Yeah, I've been trying to do that as I go, like on my comic too, because there's stuff I'll spend forever like detailing. I'm like, man, I just can't get this right, and then I'll print it out, and it's so fucking small. It's like, why did I even bother? It's just a waste.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just I mean, that's the problem with digital and something you gotta adapt to.
Well,
I've been trying not to zoom in past 60%. Actually, that seems to be a good balance as far as keeping my lines.
Well, that's another hotkey that I've got. That you've got a hotkey you can do for image for the full size, and then I have a key that I can do for the print size. which is one of the options that it gives you under view. I think it is.
Oh, they have one actually for print size, like real size on screen, but print. That's I didn't know that.
I assume it is, but anyway, I don't know whether it actually matches the print size or not. But the fact that they have that and it's zoomed in a little closer, I just do all my work at that print size, and then zoom out occasionally to look at the whole thing to make sure it's working, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, I'll have to check that. I bet you it's like just one step out from my 60%, which seems to be pretty good balance. But it'd be good to have that.
As long as you like pick a zoom and stick with it, you're usually okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've been trying to keep it pretty consistent as far as like, pen size too.
Yeah.
And then the same zooming so I can stay consistent. Yeah. And sometimes I'll catch myself zooming into like 200%. It's like, wait, no, I got to back out. Because you don't notice it because you're working high res too. So even 200% can still look smooth. And then you're like, God damn it, I need to zoom out. I'm just wasting time. It's like pointless.
Yeah.
And Rob's like, whatever, idiots.
You guys and all your digital talk, whatever.
Fucking computer geeks.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
God, me and my pencil over here will just mind our business.
I like that all three of us are working on a kill snap, though. I'm just kidding. Is that not kill snap, Chuck?
Sure.
Yeah.
The shoulders match, though. Could all three be kill snap shoulders? That's for sure.
When he's burned bands around his forearms, like kill snap is kind
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just add in some spikes on here, right?
Yeah.
This is 3 spikes on each band. And get in some claws coming out. That's basically kill snap's arm right there.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah, I think I got my kill snap with his hand up here. I think I want to put him like his hands posed like he's sort of holding something. I think I want him to hold like a human heart or some sort of guts or something that are hanging out of his hand that he just cut out with his blades or something. So, because I had him with a fist and it just didn't feel good. I'm like, nah, he has to hold some guts. I need some gore.
Right.
Do we have any sort of comics code with your comic, Rob, that I need to adhere to?
Oh God, no.
I hope not, man. I'm gonna have to rein way back on blood.
I want the opposite of Comics Code Authority. I want it to be so offensive.
Like, dude, when I do the gore, I'm giving it the full-on 10 visual treatment. Blood flying everywhere.
That's probably why I want to do it too. I want to get a little practice because for my comic, I want it to just be super gory once I get to those pages. So I'm gonna do a little warm up on your page, on your character, Rob.
Nice.
Will said, "Yeah, Rob just puts on thicker glasses instead of zooming out." For sure.
Yeah,
I could do that. I could put on my reader glasses and lean back a little bit, my reading glasses, and then it gets a little blurry. Do you have to work tomorrow, Rob? Do you get the holiday off by chance at all?
Oh yeah. I work at Home Depot, so
okay.
The only days that that place is closed is Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Oh, so you're stuck working then?
I am there Monday through Friday every other day unless I'm on vacation or something.
Dang. Don't you have seniority where you can just switch shifts with a younger guy and make him work?
Well, I've got I've got a shift that doesn't exist almost anywhere in the company, which is a Monday through Friday 6 to 3, and that doesn't exist almost anywhere except this one lucky position I've got. So,
oh, that's cool.
Switching with somebody just puts me in a worse position.
You don't want to jeopardize losing that schedule.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
God,
that's not bad if you can handle I couldn't handle getting up that early, but you're home so early. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm like most artists I know, I'm a night person, but
yeah,
I prefer that to be Monday through Friday and have weekends off. It's so I've just gotten used to it. I don't want to be up at 5 a.m, but
Yeah.
you just do what you got to do, right?
See, and then later on you get old and you wake up at that time anyway.
I wish I could do that. I'm still waiting for that to happen. I was hoping it would happen by now, or at least start waking up a little earlier. But I freaking slept till 11:30 this morning.
Well, look, none of that stuff started to really happen to me until I was like 49, 50.
Well, I'm 50, so
Yeah, this is when it'll start to shift for some things will start to shift for you.
yeah.
And you're like going, why is it all of a sudden like at first I started going to bed at like 9 and getting up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and like, okay, that's not so weird. And then it got to the point where it's like it's 8, and then it's 7, and then finally it's like, okay, I'm done with dinner. I'm going to bed.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely can't pull the. I mean, well, I can't say that because sometimes I do. But if I want to pull like the late nights like I used to, I have to force a little more, or have some coffee late in the day. If I'm like, oh, I don't have to get up tomorrow, I want to stay up late working. I can't just naturally do it. I'm gonna have to have some coffee or energy drink or something. Otherwise, I won't make it. So
yes, and I find that anymore when I do that, I wind up paying for it for the next 2 or 3 days afterward too. So it's like it's easier to just go ahead and go along with the flow and go to bed when my body wants to go to bed, and and get up early. Like, it's kind of a drag, but it's better than dragging ass all day for like 2 days afterward because I stayed up till 9 or 11 one night.
You're such a responsible adult.
I really am not.
No, don't.
I go to bed at my bedtime.
Like, yeah, I stopped some of my habits because, like, no, people start to frown on you drinking when the cops keep showing up to fucking do like a standoff situation with you.
Oh yeah, how many standoffs have you had? What?
I don't want to go on record. I've already said too much.
Wait, was that you on CNN last night?
No, I haven't had a drink now in how long has it been since I've had a drink? Like, I don't know, like 3-4 years, something like that.
Yeah. That's actually the thing that's hit me with getting older more than the sleep thing is like substances like alcohol. Like now, well, it's even worse now because I got diagnosed with pretty severe ADHD last year, which made sense for a lot of stuff in my life. But I take this medicine for it now that just kind of helps me focus a little better. It's not a stimulant. It's not like Adderall or anything. It's just something that kind of calms my mind down from thinking of 8,000 things at once. But the thing is if I'm already a lightweight as it is, but if I have just one of those, like, those little shooter bottles of alcohol you can get, like a Fireball or something,
right?
Just one of those will make me tipsy.
So you're a cheap date now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
I mean, I was never a big drinker. I was always like, I'd get one drink and then I'd milk the second all night, and still be buzzed. But now even more so. But the other thing too is like I'll drink like 1 or 2 of those little shooters in a night, and I'll feel completely trashed, and man, I will be fucked up the next day. Like I'll feel like I got the flu or something. I mean, there's no waking up from that hangover, man. Like you're just dead to the world.
Hangovers are the worst as you get older.
Yeah,
like that's one of the reasons why I think old men stop drinking. You just can't handle the hangover like that.
Yeah. It's probably why I don't smoke weed much anymore too. I used to be such a stoner with my wife, but last couple of years I stopped because I was starting to notice it made me so tired the next day. Even if I just had a single toke, I wouldn't sleep as well and I'd be really tired. So now she started being a flight attendant, and she can't smoke because of drug tests and stuff because she works
right
federal stuff regulations.
Can't have that.
Yeah, so I kind of just stopped with her, and for a few months I would kind of have it maybe on the weekends, one day on the weekends, and even that sort of trailed off. And then I started taking this medicine too, and it made me want to even smoke less because I noticed I was self-medicating to keep me sitting at the table. And that was like an ADHD thing. And like once I didn't have to worry about that, I could sit here and keep drawing all day without having to force it like that. So it was even less draw. So now it's just kind of a special occasion if I go out or,
Right.
I don't really have the time, which is nice. At least I'm not like, sitting all day going like, God damn, I wish I could just smoke, but I shouldn't.
And now that it's legal here, I'm taking advantage
I
of
know.
it so much.
That's
Like,
what's messed up, man. If it could have been legal when I was toking it up, and now it's so easy, man. Now I don't even want it.
Well, see, now that it's here, like I found out that my dispensary does like shake for like
Oh yeah,
$40 an ounce.
yep. I used to buy that and then like a thing of expensive flour, and that would give you like a month of joints for like $60.
So like literally at the moment, I've got like a quarter pound of weed.
Yeah.
Because at that at those prices, why not?
Yeah.
You'd be dumb not to.
Yeah.
It's a sale.
Well, look, I can either choke my lungs out smoking this stuff, or I can make one of my special treats in the morning and kind of come on kind of slow like that.
Oh, do you cook some of your own?
Yeah. Like once I learned to decarb, to take that like on the plant itself, when the plant is raw, the chemical is THCA. Okay.
The little crystals on there.
Now, the process of burning it burns off that A, which is an acid. Okay. That acid is where your CBDs are and what keeps you from fucking getting high. Otherwise, you could just eat raw weed and get high. You can't do that. It'll just knock you out. Right. You're just going to go to sleep. You might be high for a few minutes, but you're going to fall over so fast. It's unreal. So right. I've got you learn to heat it. You got to heat it to 125, 130 degrees for about 15 to 30 minutes and maintain that temperature. And then all that acid is burned off. And now you can add it to anything.
Yeah, so, I used to always make can of butter like that, and then you just put it in the freezer, and you just have this big block of butter to make whatever you want when you feel like it.
See, this is even easier than that, because you don't you want to add it to a pan of brownies, you just pinch out some of the dry herb and add it to it. You're going to add it in
so
there
it's
anyway.
Still dry. It's still dry, the thing you got.
It's still dry. Like did I ever send you my quesadilla video?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. I'll have to send you my quesadilla video. Yeah, my quesadillas are really something else.
Especially afterwards.
I tell people, you ain't had a quesadilla like my quesadilla. Yeah.
Do you tell them before or after? No.
I wouldn't. I would never do that to somebody.
Yeah, no, that's messed up. I was kidding. I had a friend come to when I lived on that place in San Francisco that you visited. We used to have big parties at that house, and my neighbor came over one time, and he brought cookies with mushrooms in it one time and didn't tell anyone, and we got so mad at him.
Oh yeah. I can see.
Fucking asshole! Don't ever fucking do that. It's like,
seriously,
especially with cookies. Drunk people eating cookies, man. Eat a whole plate. That did happen to another friend too. We actually had weed cookies, but we knew they were weed cookies, but he didn't. He was actually a boyfriend of a friend, and he came, and all of a sudden he ended up having to go to the ER. All of a sudden he was like on the floor and couldn't even get up and thought he was dying, and he had eaten like 6 cookies.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. It's like, holy crap. You wish you were drawing with us, Will? Why aren't you? I mean, I guess not.
Yeah.
But yeah, pull it out and do it with us. That's what I do when Rob's streaming too. Sometimes I'll just open up Clip Studio and draw while I'm
pull it out, shake it around.
Yeah. Oh, here. Yeah, let me make me full screen and I'll do it here. Hang on. No, I sometimes I'll log into Rob's stream to try to draw with him, but then what happens? And I'll log in. I'll be like, hey. What's up, Rob? I'm just going to draw with you, but I can't really chat much because I'm drawing. And then I end up chatting for like the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, we're talking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still fun. Talking comics and shit.
I forgot to link this to my own channel. I didn't even think of that.
Oh man,
didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. I wonder if you link it now, it would start playing, but I wonder if it would keep the the VOD of the whole stream,
I don't even know
or
if
if it would
I
just
would
do
know
from
how
when
to
you
do it.
activated it. Yeah. Because I think you can actually do it even while we're live, if you wanted to add it.
I'm glancing at my screen, trying to see if I can. I don't see a way.
Stream this to your audience.
Yeah, because I was telling Chuck earlier, like, I don't tend to have a lot of people watching live, but then they'll watch the video on demand afterwards, and I'll get like a couple hundred more views over the next couple of weeks. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So there's not a ton of people here now, but they'll see it after the fact. Right now, we've only got about 13,000 people watching us, so it's not a huge number.
13,000.
I'm just seeing if you're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, low numbers, bro.
Rookie numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can. All right, it's going to let me do that.
Or I'll put that up in a sec, Will, after we figure out this technical part. Your question.
Oh, crap.
Are you trying to get it going on yours, Chuck?
Yeah, that's why you're hearing me all quiet now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a way unless
left.
I like.
He dropped off.
I was gonna say, I don't see a way to do it unless I leave the thing and.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Lost you for a sec.
Oh, okay.
Now you're back. Well, next time we can do it.
Yeah, like just about the time I got this figured out, I'm gonna have to get off of this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going for like almost like, especially you and me, Chuck, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. So
okay,
we could wrap it up in maybe like 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And then yeah, if you guys want to do it again next weekend, I'll be around. Get set it up beforehand too.
I'm not doing this shit again.
Never again.
Got my one.
That's fine. We're gonna replace you with Jimmy Reyes because Rob.
Oh, you know that's been done. You know that's been done before, right?
I know. That's why I know. I've seen him streaming with Jimmy.
Like Jimmy Reyes followed me on CC, and then later on he followed me.
That's right.
Yeah, he was the guy that somebody got to ink the rest of CC. Which we don't want to talk about too much in depth. I disavow that work.
Yeah.
But then I did the Ghostbusters thing, and after those guys burned me, they got Jimmy to take over that too.
Wow, I keep forgetting. I got to look up those old pages because I'm like, Jimmy Reyes inked me in the past, which is weird to think about.
Yeah.
Couple quick questions before we go though. Will asked if you could mentor anyone, or actually I'll ask another one first because it's a simpler one. Can you freehand an ellipse freehand? Can you ink an ellipse freehand, Chuck?
Well, look, okay. Look, all on the list is two curves. So you got a curve like this one, for instance, for this cloud. You can't really see. I'll put it up there where you can kind of see it. He's doing like a cloud, right? So you fake it, okay? All I got to do, it doesn't even have to really connect.
Oh, you got a little blurry. Your camera defocused. Oh, there it goes. Oh. Okay.
There we go.
Yep.
As long as this line, you can see, like, here, I'll show you. I actually did 2 lines there. Now, those aren't connected. From a distance, they look fairly connected. It's going to be connected in print, give or take. It's going to look that way. Okay. But as long as the end of this line points to the end of this line, your eye fills in that gap as one complete form. So you can sort of get away with faking freehand ellipses. It just depends upon what it is that I'm doing. Something that's organic like this, like a cloud or something like that, I have no problem freehanding it and not pulling out a curve to do it. If you pull out a curve to do it, it's going to look too stiff. Okay, it's not going to look organic anymore. But if it's something like machinery, or like if you're doing Iron Man and you're doing those damn lines in his gloves and shit, you're going to have the template out constantly. You're going to have to template all that stuff. And that's like, I love Iron Man. I wanted to do an Iron Man when I was a kid. And then I realized how much templating and shit was involved. I was like, fuck Iron Man.
Yeah, that seems like a nightmare to ink. Same with Transformers. Like, Transformers seems like it would just be horrible to draw because it's just so much straight edges. It feels like it would be so boring, you know.
Yeah, I did Transformers, and they used to bitch too because it looked too organic in this. Because I would, you know, like, look, man.
Oh, that's right. You were doing Transformers.
I was doing Transformers.
I think that's when I became with that opinion. I was like, shit, it's all just ruling lines.
Yeah, it's all just template shit, and you have French curves and rulers and stuff, and you're like, okay. Yeah, it's work, but it's not much fun.
I kind of like people like Daniel Warren Johnson. He's kind of known for even his backgrounds and everything. He'll sort of rough them out, but then he'll just freehand the straight lines, and it kind of matches his style. But he kind of relaunched Transformers, and the look got more loose and grittier, and so you can kind of freehand draw them, and it kind of is more interesting to me. And I mean, it seems like they'd be a lot more fun to draw now too. You don't have to be as perfectly on model, slick and clean like they used to be.
Yeah.
Well, the fact is when they designed those toys, they didn't design them with a comic line in mind.
Yeah.
You know, like they designed these toys to be sculpted once, molded once, and then stamped out mass production style. Mm-hmm. So you can include all the details on the suits that you want and all this other stuff. If those characters had been designed specifically to be drawn in a comic panel by panel by panel like that, instead of the way they were designed and then transmuted to comics, they would be a lot simpler. The designs would be simpler. Because it was like man, I was spending 12, 14 hours inking Transformers pages, and at the end of the day, man, it just looked like Transformers. Like usually if I spend 12 hours on a page, you're going to see it, you know?
Yeah, there's no room for you to show your own style or creativity on it.
Not really.
Same guy, Will, he asked, if you could mentor under any comic pro, living or dead, who would you pick?
Any comic pro, living or dead. Dick Giordano.
Okay.
Dick Giordano. Dick Giordano is the one that taught Terry Austin. Dick Giordano is the one that taught Klaus Janson, Joe Rubinstein, Bob Layton, all of the greatest inkers of the Bronze Age forward in comics. All the great inkers of that time were pretty much Giordano's assistants at one time or another.
Yeah, I could see that. That'd be cool. Who was Al Williamson's mentor? Do we know? Or do you have one? I think my pick would be Al Williamson or his mentor, whoever.
Al Williamson would be another really, really, really good pick, but I don't know who mentored Williamson. Williamson started out of the box. You go look at his old EC stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like 17, 18 years old when he was doing that. It's still just this work that's just incredible, mind-blowing work where you're like, holy shit, how are like when you're looking at Nick Manabat, you're like, how can you be this fucking good this young?
Yeah.
How?
I hate a lot of younger fans and people modern days that don't understand these older artists too. Like I've seen some people online talking shit about Al Williamson going like, oh, he's all right, but he could never draw anything without photos and stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? because he did like a couple movie adaptations where he had to kind of match their look. That's the only thing he can do. Come on, man.
Actually,
He's got decades.
Secret Agent Corrigan and stuff. He shot photos for most of that. But
Yeah. Well, that's like a smart way of being a professional, not limiting him. You know, like I think there's a clear difference there.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing: the way this is supposed to be done, in my opinion, and the way I've seen it done in professional procedures in the past, you come up with your sketch just out of your head. Okay, you come up with your sketch just out of your head, and then once you've got your concept, your sketch going on, and you know what it is that you're going to do, that's when you go gather up all your reference material in with the idea in mind of taking your imagination and enhancing it with reference. That is the point. Like, you do your sketch. You look at Boris Vallejo; he would do like a pen and ink and watercolors sort of layout for his painting. And then at that point, it's time to go hire the models and do the photo session and get them standing there so you get all the reference shots you need and everything else. And then you trace it all off onto the canvas once you got it there, the way you want it for your preliminary. And then you paint from there.
Yeah. I mean, those guys too, like it was that old school professionalism of, just, it wasn't just comics. It was like, a lot of those guys did like graphic design and editorial artwork and stuff like that for newspapers as part of their career too.
Well,
that's the whole part of doing that, that whole process.
All those guys from the 1940s and 50s working in comics up to and including John Buscema, by the way, they're failed illustrators. They wanted to be Norman Rockwell. They wanted to be one of the classic illustrators from the early 1900s.
Yeah, so many of them did advertising work for a long time. It's kind of crazy.
You don't want to be Jack Kirby. You want to be Austin Briggs, man.
I wish you could go back in time. Like, it'd be kind of cool to see an art book of all those guys as like advertising work or something, just to compare. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, it would.
What about you, Rob? Who would you pick?
If I could be mentored by anybody?
Yeah. I mean, besides Rob Liefeld.
Besides Mr. Liefeld?
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys list all these classic artists that are like brilliant. And I'm like, because I'm a little bit younger, so the ones who are masters for me are I'd like to learn how to pencil and draw from either Silvestri or Adam Hughes.
I think that's just as valid. I mean, God, those guys they might have been mentored by someone more classic, but then they grew so far beyond that. It's just so good.
Yeah. Well, look, man, just because Silvestri isn't Frazetta or anything doesn't mean he's a scrub.
Yeah.
No.
I
just feel like Silvestri is the most talented artist out of all the image guys, like in terms of just sheer drawing ability.
In terms of sheer drawing ability, just the ability to throw down, that guy's probably got the strongest skill set. Yeah.
I would do anything to go back in time and just spend a few weeks looking over Mark's shoulder when he was doing that early Wolverine stuff or his early X-Men stuff. On that monthly schedule, just cranking out that beautiful work. Oh man.
Like especially when he gets the X-Men stuff where he's like doing 2 books a month.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, holy shit, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
I
mean, it's like stream of consciousness at that point. He's not even thinking about it, and it's just so good.
Well, and that's why you got to have somebody like Dan Green backing you up too, because it's like,
yeah. I can't believe I used to hate Dan Green's inks for a while, but now I was like, what was I thinking?
There's a lot of stuff that I didn't have appreciation for when I was younger that I've gained appreciation for since, like the latest one, which is kind of cool because it's like I've got a new guy I'm collecting like a brand new guy that I've discovered, and I'm collecting his stuff. Now he's been dead for a few years, and he's I'm talking about Steve Ditko, by the way. Like, I never had any appreciation for Steve Ditko, and lately now I'm just like, holy shit, I cannot get enough fucking Ditko.
Maybe I'll have to dive back in too.
Well, it helps that like secretly I didn't tell anybody a year ago when I started inking Rob, but I really hadn't drawn anything myself in quite some time, and I'd sort of forgotten how to do it.
You lying son of a bitch.
Well, I could still ink.
I know. I
mean, obviously,
Clearly.
I could still ink and everything, and that was fine. But as far as being able to draw again,
You got to start working out that muscle memory again, you know.
Yeah, and I'm finally beginning to get some of it. Some of it's coming back.
Yeah.
I find myself drawing different stuff now. I used to try and draw full size figures that would take up the page. Now I do a lot of these little silhouetted stick guys, skeletons.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh heck
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I did a little doodle of the Joker the other day, and
It's funny, when the school I ended up moving down here for, Noman, it's a visual
Yeah,
effects
yeah.
school, but it's
Yeah.
like an art school, you know, and I had to actually present an art portfolio to get in to be
yeah,
accepted.
I remember.
Yeah, and I had like 5 or 6 pages of that exact type of stuff
Oh yeah,
in there. Yeah, just those little doodles, almost like I was using it as an example to show my interest in animation, but it was exactly that, you know, those little rough characters just showing gestures and movement and stuff.
yeah. Just trying to
Right.
figure out how I create figures and I can pose them and do it consistently.
Mhm.
Because like when I was young, I learned from the Bern Hogarth books. And I was using his system that he spells out, which is sort of like an expanded how to draw comics the Marvel way approach.
Yeah.
And I used that system religiously for a long time, and now I don't do any of that kind of crap anymore. And it's because of Ditko. It's because of Ditko and a certain character he created called Mr. A. Okay. And
I don't know that. What's
I
this? Well, I gotta look it up.
Mr. A was after he left Marvel and DC.
Okay.
And I don't know what Mr. A's thing was about, but like I saw some sketches that he did of Mr. A. And I started looking at the characters a little differently. Like you draw these structure drawings, right? And you draw these cylinders and you draw these things. And I'm going, if you have to sit there and deconstruct this and do all these things each and every time, how can you manage to hit a deadline? And then I realized that some of this stuff can be done more simply, right? If I just draw an A, okay, that's where the legs start. These are the thighs, okay, and then from there it comes up. You still got your basic shield sort of shape, but that's why you see so many guys wearing ties because that's your breastbone, and then that comes down to the split, and you like once you see like roughing it out like that, I'm not drawing cylinders, I'm not drawing this stuff, I'm just sort of measuring it out, and then once I've got that real lightly, I'll just come in and do finished pencils over stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a teacher I had actually when I was at that school named Ron Husband, and he was my husband, and he was he was an old school classic Disney animator, like from the 60s and 70s and stuff.
Right,
and he was
right.
teaching a gesture drawing class, and he kind of taught it like that too, as sort of the base. And one thing he did that I thought was really cool too is like sort of that similar approach, but he would have you start with just the legs too, to like kind of ground your figure. So you kind of do that. You'd sort of have that line like you were showing with the triangle, but you'd kind of do that, and then you just kind of draw the legs to sort of set your pose, and then it was a lot easier to sort of get it built on top of it like that.
There's this dude on YouTube, and he's on Instagram too, called Rodgon the Artist.
Huh. Okay.
And I'm learning a lot from Rodgon the Artist.
Yeah.
So now his RODGON.
Okay.
So now it's a very cartoony sort of approach to it.
Yeah.
But hey, for somebody like me that doesn't have a lot of variety in body types that I can do and things like this, drawing like this in this looser form and really exaggerating things has helped me
Oh,
quite a bit.
yeah, I know Rod Gunn. I follow him. I actually really like. I use his method for laying out a face now. The rule of thirds that he uses.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
and there's
concept.
certain stuff that he's taught that I'm like, okay, so your figure goes from here to here, right? You divide that in half. All right, this is where your legs are. Okay, and then the rest of this you divide into thirds. Okay, and this is head and neck. Here's the chest. And it lays it right in. So you think of the upper half, the lower half is halves.
Yeah.
You take the distance and half it, and then this, half it again, and then this one in thirds, and you set up your proportions right away.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really good at figuring out a simple way to block that stuff out. I love his rule of thirds too with the heads where you have the where you just you have
you use the width of the head, and then you do another one over here, and then that's your.
Oh no, it was more how you space out the nose and eyes and mouth. Like you have.
Oh, okay.
Like let me do the if you have a cube here, here's the head, and you could maybe do the sphere thing, but then you do a line through for the eyes. Well, okay, so if you have your whole head here, you take the whole front and you break it down into equal thirds, and then the top line of your third is the eyebrow line, and the bottom line is your mouth. Or I mean, sorry, not your mouth, but the bottom of your nose. I actually did a little high here, but it would be about here, and then your mouth goes right below that, and then it makes it so much easier to sort of block out your stuff and put the eye, and it's a way to line it up and not look awkward so quickly.
Yeah. That's what I found that he's good for, is showing me how to block this stuff, because getting a figure that's basically in good proportions and stuff the old way, using the Bernard Hogarth method or how to draw comics the Marvel way, it would take me much longer to knock that out, mainly because I disuse, but these are my baby steps. But it's interesting because I was never able to draw small the way I draw now. I'm drawing lots of smaller drawings than I used to, and trying to get them as small as I can get them. If I can get them 2 inches high, that's about where I like it.
Yep. Keeps it loose.
Like these.
Yeah.
Little
bitty
type
of stuff.
I mean, that's layout pages.
Of stuff in artist sketchbooks. If you ever to put together a sketchbook, those pages you're showing, Chuck, that's the stuff I love to see, where it's a page just filled with experimenting.
Yeah. Well, plus if you have your little layouts of your pages, that's basically what it is, about that size, loose.
And I got my little Joker sketch over here.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and you can see it in there too. You can see his personality in it.
It's just me farting with the and that's the thing too, is I'm in love with any chance that I get to pull this brush out and start toying with it and seeing really, really thin lines.
Yeah.
So it is reading, but just barely.
Oh, there's Rob's Joker too. That thing's awesome.
Well, my ink practice Joker.
Yeah, still, it's cool. It turned out cool.
Right on.
So Rob, I with your guy here.
Yeah.
He's exploding a heart in his hand, and it's gonna splat all over his face, and then he's got some intestines on his claws. So
you should have him licking the blood from his claws.
Yeah, I'd have to redraw the whole thing though. That'll be the next panel. Yeah, I don't want to redraw the whole thing. I'd have to lose the heart. I should have had. I could almost make him just. He's pulling a chunk out of the heart.
Like he took a bite of it.
Yeah, he's pulling it like elastic.
I've thought about that.
That could actually be bad. I could put a chunk in his mouth. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Just to go over the top. Yeah.
And he spits it over at his dog.
There
There you go, mutt.
All right, if you finish this up, all right, this could be the pinup in the book when we do it, man.
Sweet.
Hey guys,
cool.
I'm gonna have to bail.
Yeah,
This
no, it's
room's-
about that time anyway. We're 3:30, so or 4:30
Yeah.
for you. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
cool. And yeah, Rob just finished his too, and you're almost done. Dang, I'm way behind. I gotta catch up. Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming in, and
Well, thanks for
Yeah.
having me, man.
Yeah.
Take it easy, everybody.
yeah, thanks
Yeah, good
everyone,
time.
and everyone who was in the chat. Catch you all later.
See ya.
All right, bye.